Okay, we're recording. Jamie says, don't mind us cooking dinner. That's okay. That's awesome. We wanted to cook. Ryan said he was going to cook during the call, but, the snow water thing, so we'll see. But anyways, all right, so welcome to our Sunday night team call. It is Sunday, July 23rd. The topic of today's call is how to get clients. And this was a presentation done at Summit, New Orleans, by Christina Delgado and Elizabeth Harkey. So look up those names if you want to creep on some super successful coaches. Again, Christina Delgado and Elizabeth Harkey. They both totally have their own style. And they're not like top 10 coaches, so you might not hear about them, right? You might not know about them, but they're incredibly inspiring. So those are some cool names. But cool names of cool people to follow. I don't know what I'm getting at. Okay. So how to get clients? I mean, that's what we all want to know, right? How do we sign people up? How do we get customers? How do we get people to buy from us? How do we, and so really this is a business, and that's the driving force is our clients and how we get them to sign up with us. So that is a topic that we need to talk about. However, you'll find in this presentation of theirs is that there's a lot more to it than like closing the sale and, being having marketing skills or anything like that. We don't talk about anything like that, which just goes to show the integrity of this business. So it's a really cool concept. It's probably not the things that you thought I was going to tell you, but it's the things that we need to focus on. So I wanted to make sure we're still recording. We're good. So I'm going to have we only have 2 people on. I thought we were going to have like at least 10, but it's all good. I'm going to have a call to action after the call of sharing your top takeaways, because there's a billion in here. It's a ton of info, probably in a short amount of time. So having that call to action, sharing your top takeaways, I thought would help focus maybe. I don't know. So the biggest thing that we'll talk about is earning your clients' trust and your prospects' trust. But you can't do that if you don't trust yourself, or if you don't trust Beachbody, or you don't know why these people should trust you, right? You can't portray something to someone that you're not sure what you're portraying. You know what I mean? And you also can't earn someone's trust if you don't know who you are. Why should someone trust you if you don't really know who you are? So we'll talk about that a little bit too. But they kind of started off by saying we need to eat, sleep, and breathe Beachbody. And that might sound crazy, but Beachbody is a part of us when you're a coach. It doesn't have to consume your whole life. But for me anyways, most things that I do not necessarily revolve around Beachbody, but are somehow tied into Beachbody, or because of Beachbody, I do certain things, or I am a certain way. It's really shaped my life, and I'm really proud of that. That's a good thing, I think. So with that, the in-person Shayla has to be the exact same as the online Shayla. It can't be 2 separate entities like, oh, Beachbody Shayla is totally different, but then when I see her out, at this gathering, you wouldn't know it's the same person. That's the opposite of what we want. The in-person Shayla has to be the exact same as the online Shayla. And that's how we have integrity in our business, how people trust us, because we don't have we're not two-faced or multiple-faced, whatever. It has to be the same person. So that too comes with eat, sleep, breathe Beachbody, because it just kind of becomes who you are. And that's not a bad thing. Like I said, you're not like a walking billboard for Beachbody, but it just really becomes a large part of your life. And the whole theme of this presentation, again, by Christina Delgado and Elizabeth Harkey, was they kept saying, what if our coaches never invited us? What if their coach never invited them? They have teams of thousands, probably tens of thousands of people in their downline and in their, all of those customers because of them. None of that would have happened had their coach not invited them. So, and similarly, we've heard it before, and it's so cliche, but what if the person you're about to invite is the next top 10 coach? We would never know that. You literally never know that. And they also pointed out at this point, with the number of Beachbody coaches there are, if you don't invite that person, someone else is going to, right? And so that could be that should be motivating, that, okay, I got to invite him, because if I don't, Jamie's going to, or Shayla's going to, or whatever the case is. I have a couple examples about that, and I'm guessing that some of you have similar examples. It's happened multiple times. So one girl in particular, I'd been wanting to invite her to coaching so bad. I didn't. I was scared. I didn't. For my own ego, I didn't want to, which was stupid, because then I finally grew the guts to do it, and she had already signed up with Advocare. She was a distributor for Advocare. And that happens so often. Or, this has happened a million times, that someone's super interested just as a customer. I finally follow up with them. Oh, sorry, I already signed up with so-and-so. If we don't make it happen, someone else will. And that's not a bad thing. That's an awesome thing, because that just goes to show Beachbody's taking over, and that's really cool. But it also can be motivating to us that we want to be their coach. Carl shared, I don't know when it was, probably a couple years ago, about his vision for Beachbody, that he wants to be able to walk down the street and you ask the person, are you a Beachbody coach? And either their answer is yes, or they have one. And that's what's happening. I don't think there should be fear of Beachbody coaches becoming too saturated or anything like that. I know that's a fear of some people's. I think that's extremely exciting, and the future of the health and the wellness of our world. I mean, we all obviously believe so deeply in Beachbody and the mission, and for everyone to be involved in that, literally everyone, your neighbors, your family, your everyone, to be involved in that is incredible. So that's not scary to me. That's really exciting to me, and also motivating. Like, I want to be their coach before Carrie's their coach. I want you to have 1 million customers too, but it's not a competition, but just realizing that if I don't invite them, Carrie will, because that's the way it works. So that's cool, and it's good to think about, really. So when you're scared to invite the girl, like I was, like, just invite her, because if you don't, the Advocare distributor is going to, or whatever the case is, or another Beachbody coach, or So with that, this is something that Amy Silverman had talked about during this workshop at Summit. Don't rule anybody out. Me not inviting her, first of all, was just selfish of me, because I thought, so she was a manager at Anytime Fitness that I used to work out at. So I thought, like, no way, like, she's totally not going to do it. She's already fit. She's already happy. She's already successful. Like, why would I decide her destiny? Because it turns out she wanted to sign up with something. So anyways, don't be selfish by not inviting someone, and don't decide someone else's destiny for them. Like, oh, they're already happy enough. Like, who the heck are we to judge that someone is happy enough or successful enough or fit enough? Like, that is so bogus, The next topic of this was the power of your Beachbody story. So we all have a Beachbody story. And they had us think, like, okay, when do you think your Beachbody story began? And I was like, oh, well, October 2014, because that's when I signed up as a coach. No way. It started way before that. It started when you became unhappy, or it started when it started way before that. When whatever spiraled you into needing Beachbody is when your Beachbody story began. So maybe that's when you were 15 years old. Maybe it's when it was years prior to actually signing up as a customer or as a coach, which was, again, huge perspective. So she said, think about what comes to mind. Like I said, mine was, October 2014. Nope, it's way before that. So ask yourself these questions. I meant to make a PowerPoint of this, but I planned this call when we were on the way home from Home Depot in the last hour. So I don't have the slides up, but if you want to write these questions down, and I truly think that you should answer them. What was your life like before Beachbody? Think about it. Mine was completely different. I was unhappy. My marriage was unhappy. Fitness was not a thing. What was your eating like? Think about all of the things. What was your life like before Beachbody? Then ask yourself, how has Beachbody changed your life? In every way, right? For me, it has. Everything it has to offer, it has changed my life. What are you excited about in the future? And this is a good thing, especially for new coaches to think about, because maybe you don't have a huge transformation story financially or fitness-wise or anything as a new coach, or even if you've been a coach for a year or 2 or 5 years, maybe you don't have that story yet. But you have permission to be excited about that and excited for the future. So I know that's a hesitation of people who are new coaches, like, well, I don't have a lot to share. It hasn't changed my life a ton yet. But talk about how it will and what you're excited for in the future. Because that's all we have to offer right now is the future. But you have permission to talk about that and think about those things. So don't think that you have to have a transformation story or a huge weight loss, or, insane financial success to share about. Talk about what you're excited about in the future. Jamie's a great person to follow in that exact same sense. She was very open about, like, I don't make millions, but I'm going to. So check out her posts too. So more questions. What voids has Beachbody filled? Did you just need to sign up for the community? Or were you crippled by anxiety and you needed the workouts to just reduce your anxiety? What kind of voids has Beachbody filled? And those things can change. At first, I thought I just needed one thing, and then I realized I really needed all of it. So talk about those things. And well, first you have to think about those things. And that's what this presentation kind of brought to light. Like, if you don't think about these things, how could you ever talk about them, So you have to write them down, think through them, reflect on them. And by doing so, you instill so much more belief in yourself, making these realizations. And then you can start sharing them, because that's what people need and want to hear. At first, they care about your 50-pound weight loss. Then they don't really care anymore, because they could do that through a million different products, but they care about how your life has changed. And if you, like I said, if you don't think about those things or realize those things, no one will ever know. So exact same topic. People see you change. So maybe they're attracted by your weight loss at first. And the more you talk about that, and the more you talk about how much your life has changed, people see you change, and then they think, maybe I can do that too. But you also have to tell them you can do this too. Because I know people have come to me anyways, like, oh, I could never do what you do. Like, that is so wrong. And that means that I'm putting off the wrong vibe, that, like, you have to be a crazy superhuman to do this. And we all know that you don't. So people need to know that they're capable of whatever we're doing in any of the areas that Beachbody has to offer. So you need to tell them that they can do it too, whether that's in posts or individual conversations or anywhere, So again, your story too, your story pre-Beachbody doesn't have to be traumatic or sad. A couple other presenters who had talked about this, one is like 20 years sober and has a huge sobriety story that she was in and out of jail and, like, super, downward spiral, and has this amazing life transformation because of Beachbody. I don't have that. Lots of people don't have that. Lots of people do, but don't think that you have to. You don't have to have a traumatic story or a sad story. Whatever your story is still powerful. And we're always crafting our story. So even if you don't think that way yet, you're making your story right now, and you'll get to a place where you know that your story is powerful. But again, you have to believe that yourself before anyone else is going to believe that your story is powerful and that they're capable of the same thing. So we all drink the same shake. Sorry, I'm totally going off my notes, so obviously you guys can tell. We all drink the same shake. We all do the same workouts to the same trainers. The difference is you. So again, that comes down to the whole topic of this, building people's trust. Why did the girl that I was talking about, why did she sign up with this person from Advocare and not me? One, because I didn't even invite her in the first place. So people aren't going to sign up with you if you don't invite them. It's rare that people reach out to you. But why? Because she trusted that other person for some reason. And that's my fault. That's not her fault. It's not to the credit of the other person even. That's my own fault. But even within the Beachbody realm, all 5 of us on this call right now and all 400,000 Beachbody coaches, we all drink Shakeology. We all do 21-Day Fix and Shift Shop, and we're all doing the exact same things. The only difference is us, and that's a huge difference. And different people are attracted to Jamie, then are attracted to Camille, then are attracted to Keisha, and that's why people sign up with Jamie or Camille or Keisha, because the people that we're talking to are probably friends with multiple dozens maybe of Beachbody coaches, and there's a reason why they will end up signing up with one over the other. It may simply come down to who invites them first. So that leads us to the necessity of personally inviting and following up, and that's a whole other topic. But it also may come down to the simple fact of who they trust and who they relate to. And that comes through your social media and your conversations. So in order to get people to trust you and to talk to people in a way that they will trust you, you have to know your clients. We call them pain points. And you have to relate to their pain points. How I was mentioning, maybe someone needed these workouts for anxiety. That anxiety may be their pain point, and you have to know that your customer has that pain point if you want to relate to them on that level. And so you got to let your walls down and say, hey, I suffer with severe anxiety, and here's what I found helped me. The community, the nutrition, the workouts, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's a whole other generation of a post. But if you don't talk about those pain points, your own pain points, people will think what some people have thought of me, like, oh, you're just perfect and crazy, and, you know, I couldn't do that because I don't have any, I do have pain points. That's, you know, the customer saying to me, like, well, I have all these issues, and you don't. You want to bet? But that meant that I wasn't talking about that enough. And they think that I didn't have to overcome things. So people have to know that you had pain points too, and you have a solution to them now. You don't have to have had mastered that pain point, but you have a solution to help it or cure it or whatever the case is. So know their pain points, because whatever your pain points are your customers' pain points. So you have to talk about the pain points and talk about how you can help solve the problem. So you can also talk about how will they feel once the problem is helped or solved. Because it's probably, you know, someone who's crippled with anxiety can't even imagine their life without it. So you can start talking about that, what you're feeling like as you are helping your anxiety. I keep using that example. I don't even have anxiety, so I can't talk about that, you know? And that's how someone with anxiety would be attracted to someone talking about anxiety versus me who doesn't know what that's like. And again, that comes down to trust. People wouldn't know that so-and-so coach has anxiety and is just like the person reading that post if they don't talk about it. So we have to let our guards down, kick our ego to the curb to help other people and talk about our skeletons and our pain points. And you don't have to be like this, you know, negative Eeyore feel at all, because all these posts, when we're talking about these pain points, need to have an upswing and a solution, and we have to turn them into being positive things. But we have to let our guard down and be a little vulnerable for those things to happen. So talk about how they're going to feel once this problem is helped or solved. Are they going to sleep better? Are they going to have more energy, have improved confidence? Are they going to have fun? We don't know. If you don't tell me that's what it's going to be like, I don't know that. I just think I might lose 10 pounds. But there's so much more to it, and people don't know that because they haven't done it before or experienced it before. They don't know what to expect. So you have to tell them what to expect. Okay, moving on. What time is it? 6:30. Okay, we don't have a ton left, but a lot more good info. So the next kind of topic of their presentation was, are you attractive? And that doesn't mean what you think it means at the surface, like, oh, are you good looking? First of all, that doesn't matter. But are you attractive as in, like, attracting people? Is your social media page attractive? Is your feel, your vibe, I hate to even say that word because I know it's kind of loaded, but is your vibe attractive? If you're coming off like, I don't know, not attractive, I don't know what to say, but if you're coming off as entitled or something, let's say, that's not very attractive, you know? And you know people's vibe about them in person in an instant, right? Like, you can feel their energy, you can feel their vibe, and you know if it's good or bad just from the second you're around them. They don't even have to open their mouth. And we have that attractiveness or not on social media equally as much. So think about when you signed up as a coach, or even when you signed up as a customer, those may be two different things. What attracted you to your coach? So I'm thinking, I have to think about that, because I reached out to my upline coach, which is unique, right? Most of us were invited, but why did I do that? I have to think about, why did I message her? What was it? Think about that and realize that you are your customer as well. So your customers would reach out to you for the same reason that you reached out to your coach. Was it because that person posted about the possibility of losing 15 pounds? Was it because they posted about overcoming anxiety? What was it? And it could be neither one of those and something totally different, or the community, or these summit, they got to go to New Orleans, or why did you reach out to the person you reached out to? Or why did you say yes to them if they invited you? And you can think about your answer, but you have to be practicing that in your social media and giving your followers the chance to have that attractive post that would inspire them to reach out to you, if that makes sense. Because if you're not doing whatever attracted you to your coach, then people aren't going to reach out to you for that reason, So along with social media, we have to stop people with our social media posts. She said, this is Christina Delgado. She said, stop them with your image, the photo you post, and then connect to them with the text of your post. So similarly, she said, if you have a crappy picture, I'm not going to read it because it looks like you don't care. So she was talking about the importance of having a nice picture that you post. It doesn't have to be perfect every time with a nice selfie light and a background and, professional picture, no way. But it has to be a decently looking picture. Otherwise, people are going to get the feeling that you don't care about what you post. So why would I care to read your 8-paragraph post and then care about what it even says? So the importance of having a good image on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the platform is, have a nice image to look at. That's what gets their attention. And then connect to them in the text of your post. Because Facebook, I'll use Facebook, and maybe it's Instagram for you or whatever your platform is, but I'll say Facebook because that's my main one. Facebook is our storefront. If you're a small business on Main Street, your town Main Street, Facebook is our storefront, just like their literal storefront of their Main Street shop is their storefront. If it's like a disastrous, discombobulated, storefront, you're probably not going to step in there. If it's a nice looking storefront, that's intriguing. You want to look, you want to read the post, you want to see what that store is about inside. So you have to have a nice storefront, and this is a different topic we had somewhere along the lines. Your storefront has to be open every single day. You can't just shut down on a random Tuesday because you're having a bad day. What happened if, the grocery store owner on Main Street, they decided, oh yeah, Tuesday's not a good day for me. I can't be open for business today. That's not how it works. Your storefront has to look nice and it has to be open every single day. So she said, Christina Delgado, who gave this presentation, one of the women who did, she said your body is your business, which I think that's a little bit excluding. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think your face and your body and your words and your attitude, that is your business. Those don't create your business. That is your business. Your face, your body, your words, your attitude are all your business. None of those have to be perfect. None of those have to look like the next person's. None of those have to look a certain way at all. But those things are your business. So remember that. And that's what people need to see and hear about and know. They have to know your face. They have to know your body even. They have to know your words and they have to know your attitude because that's your business. That's all we have. We don't have a storefront, but anything we share becomes our storefront. So 2 more topics: posting, how to post about this stuff, and then inviting, how to invite with all this in mind. So we're kind of flying through it, but I told you it'd be a little shorter. So posting. They had talked about internal versus external posts. And they use the example of Microsoft versus Apple. Because when you see I don't know commercials, but when you see a Microsoft commercial, they talk about the gigabytes and the hard drive and this and all these technical things, which is external. But when you see an Apple commercial, it's a mom playing with her kids at the park and using this iPad, and it's the story about how it changed their life and how Apple is a part of their life. And those are the internal posts. So don't only, I think there's value to both, but don't only be talking about the hard drive and the software and the external things. Talk about the Apple things, the internal things. I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of a weird example, but I think it does. So you have to communicate that why. Apple has changed this family's life. How? You have to talk about that. Talk about the internal things. And they said it's not about what we do, it's about why we do it. Yeah, helping people lose weight's cool. Helping people gain confidence is cool. But why? What does it matter? If you want to get real personal, at the end of the day, what does it matter? At the end of your life, when you're on your deathbed, what does it matter that you help people lose weight? I'll tell you why, because you might have saved their life or changed their life, or you help them, start a family or find who they are, or they got the job, their dream job, because they had the confidence in themselves. That's what matters. Not the 5 pounds, not the 100 pounds even. It's why. Why does that matter? And you have to talk about why it matters. You have to talk about the internal things. So a way to post about that, excuse me, all of this, a super simple thing that I wrote down because I want to make a post like this, you could say, I remember not too long ago, X amount of months or years ago, I was blah, 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 blah. Now here I am, a year later, blah, 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 blah. And that can be an entire call to action post or within your transformation of before and after. I remember not too long ago, I couldn't fit into these jeans. And here I am 2 rounds later, and look how big they are, whatever. And they can be, you could take any route with that. Let's say at Summit. I could have made a post about Summit. I remember not too long ago, I had no girlfriends, or I was too scared to talk to anyone I didn't know. Now here I am talking to random people in New Orleans, or with 2 of the closest people that I know, or, whatever the case is. You could take any route with that. I remember X amount of time ago, I was doing XYZ or feeling XYZ. Now here I am, this amount of time later, doing XYZ or feeling XYZ. So that's a really simple way to start talking about what more there is to it, and how you've made those changes. Okay. Next point I have is what we've been talking about the whole time. Earn your customers' trust by emphasizing your similarities. But you have to figure out who you are so you can figure out your customers' pain points. Like I said, if I don't think about how Beachbody has changed my life and why I needed Beachbody, I'll never be able to portray that to my customers. I'll never know why my customers need a similar transformation that I've had. So you have to be aware of all of these things Beachbody has done for you and what it can do for others, and be talking about them. I wrote down, if you don't know how you've changed, how will they? If I don't talk about how I've changed, they won't know that I've changed. Maybe they could see some changes, but talk about it. Don't leave people assuming, oh yeah, so-and-so lost X amount of weight. They're probably more confident. I can't tell if Ryan's knocking on the door, just went out the garage. But talk about what has changed. Because if you don't talk about it, if you don't realize it, no one else is going to connect the dots for you or give a crap why those things have happened if they don't know they've even happened. So talk about the pain points, give them the solution. Next thing, almost the last one I think, is inviting. So they called it proactive inviting. And they said the number one goal when we are inviting is to get leverage. how you can, there's people across our street. So side note about our water. I think a couple of you weren't on here yet. We ran out of water. We ran out. That's not even like a real thing in the United States. Thank gosh. We don't have water right now at our house. We're on a well, our whole neighborhood, and the water pump or something is over at the neighbor's house. So there's like the whole neighborhood like trying to fix the water right now. Anyways, inviting. They called it proactive inviting. The number one goal is to get leverage. So how you can, if you don't feel like you're getting leverage, I'll talk about more about what that means. But if you don't feel like you're accomplishing this, like you're not getting leverage, you have to wonder if you're asking the right questions. And if you're not even getting a response, you have to wonder, are you giving them a reason to respond even? Are you ending your messages with a question, right? Or enough questions? So true, Jamie. You have to ask enough questions, the right questions, and you have to give them a reason to respond. So a couple questions, I guess, to be asking. This is one of Christina Delgado's that she asks people because she has people reach out to her. I know it's not the case for everyone. That's not the case for me oftentimes. But in her case, she asks people, what made you feel compelled to reach out to me? I'm excited to hear your story. So we could ask people, what made you feel compelled to respond to my message? I guess we could ask. It depends on the situation, obviously, that we're talking to this person in, but ask them, or ask even your current customers, what made you feel compelled to join this challenge group? What made you feel compelled to sign up as a coach on my team? Ask people. And the answers you get will probably be a huge variety, which is encouraging, or if they're all the same, then you know that that's what you need to keep doing. Or maybe that tells you you need to open it up and be more attractive to other people. I don't know. It depends on what route you'd take with feedback like that, but that's something cool that you could do, is ask whoever's in your tribe right now, what made you feel compelled to join the team or the group or whatever, and find out. But you can even be asking that in conversation. What made you feel compelled once they signed up? What made you feel compelled to sign up for this group? And they'll tell you, and then you know, like I said, what you have to emphasize and what you should continue to emphasize in future conversations. I always ask people, I really ask people this when they say no, and there's a reason that I do that. So they tell me no, I can't do that. So first of all, I make sure that they want to do it in the future. Would you be interested in a group like this in the future? Yes. And then I ask them, what would you want out of a group like this? And then they tell me, most times they tell me, what would you want out of a group like this? Then they tell me, oh, I could really, use to lose a couple pounds. Then I know that's what their goal is. That's what they want to do. Ask them. Don't just let them say no. Like I said, I ask this more often when people say no than when they say yes. So again, that question is, what would you want out of a group like this? And then they convince themselves, okay, that's why I need this group. I really should do this. And I've turned with that question, leading with that question, I've turned no's or, not right now's into signing up that night because they realize like, dang, I really need this. And I was being silly, So that question is, what would you want out of a group like this? Another thing that I ask when people are leaning towards yes is, are there specific goals you're working on or would like to work on? That's kind of how I get the conversation going about where they're headed and what things they'd like to accomplish. So are there specific goals you're working on or you'd like to work on? And they might tell me, no, I don't have any goals I'm working on, and then you can help them figure it out. But that's the leverage that you need. Get their why and then remind them of it. Remind them of it in that current conversation, if the conversation continues, or remind them of it when you follow up in however long you follow up. And let's say you follow up in a month, you can say, hey, last month you told me you were dying to get back to whatever weight they said, or last month you told me that you really need to clean up your diet because you feel like garbage. So are you ready to do that yet? Get their why and be constantly reminding them of it. So that was super cool. Number one goal when you're inviting is to get leverage, because again, that makes them convince themselves that they need this, because we're not here to convince them. Once they realize, here's why I need it, not because so-and-so told me I do, but because I realize this could make me not feel like garbage, then I'm in. Whatever it takes, because I just admitted to myself, here's why I need the group. And they didn't convince me of it. I figured it out myself. And I'm going to make that happen, you know? So that's really the end of it. But they concluded it with, the most important thing in our business is getting customers results. Because, and these are super successful coaches who have huge teams, but they're still telling us the most important thing we do is getting customers results. Because then they talked about, if you built your team from customers who got great results, imagine what your team would look like. That was so cool, and that really brought me back to the focus of results. It was so true. That completely changed like the perspective of my business. If you built a team on kick-ass challengers who are already in love with the products because they've gotten results, and then you recruit them as coaches, think what your business would look like. It would thrive itself, you know? They then had 2 more call to actions. One is, well, they're both awesome. They said, we want you to help 100 people craft their I Am Team Beachbody story between now and next year's summit. So that's 100 people. I think that's a freaking awesome goal, and that's something so cool to keep track of. What if you can say that next year? Like, I set this goal last summer to help 100 people, you know, make a transformation story, and either I did it or I helped 90 people or whatever you end up helping, but that'd be such a cool thing to keep track of and to shoot for. So they said help 100 people craft their I Am Team Beachbody story between now and next year's summit. And then they really ended it with like, guys, you need to step up. And that's all it came down to, was they were telling us, like, throw your excuses out, step up, get the people results, get the leverage, be vulnerable. Just step up and do it, because we all know what it takes. These aren't secrets. I mean, these are all amazing things to hear and be reminded of and be driven by. But it all comes down to putting in the work, stepping up for ourselves, stepping up for our family, if that's who we're building this business for, stepping up for our customers and our challengers, and stepping up for our future customers and challengers to be the coach they need, to be the coach that you need or that you needed, and just step up and show up and be there, because we all know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. So that is a wrap. 10 minutes to 7 for me. I know it's different times for everybody. Does anyone have any questions or things to add? Nada? Cool. Well, ladies, I recorded this call. It takes like 8 years to upload to YouTube, but I'll get started on that right when we stop. And yeah, if no one has any questions, like I said, that's all I have. So think about these things and really implement them, because yeah, of course, Carrie. Great reminders. Exactly. And I mean, so Carrie was at Summit and we were in the same hall, right? So you even saw that presentation, but I probably took different things out of it than you may have, or actually that's exactly what I was going to say. So this notebook that I took to Summit is like a million notes, right? And even for me, rewriting them to share with you guys was so beneficial. But that's not enough for me. I need to start posting about my pain points and gaining people's trust and asking those questions. Because if you sit and watch these calls, or if you go to Summit and have a notebook of information, but you don't do anything with it, then what's the point? So we have to put these things into action. And I'll be sharing more of Summit over this next week and month, probably, because it was months worth of information. But the most productive thing that I think we were told at the end of it is pick 2 to 3 things that you can implement right now. So maybe even from that call, there's so much information in there. You probably heard it before. You know that you need to start doing some of it. So pick 1 or 2 things that you're going to focus on. Because don't be overwhelmed by your notebook of information from Summit or by the hour of team call that we just had. Think about even the one thing that you want to take away from that call, because this call is going to be here. I'm going to put it on YouTube. It'll be there within an hour. You can look back at it anytime you want. So focus on the one thing that stood out to you majorly right now and implement that. Don't do what I do and I have all these million ideas and then I do none of them, because that doesn't get you anywhere. That's completely pointless. It is way better to implement one thing at a time than sit and mull over 75 things that never get done, you know? So as we end this call, think about the one, maybe two things from this call, or if you were at Summit, or maybe it's a completely separate thing that, you know, you thought of during that call. Pick your one thing to focus on and just do it. I don't want to say forget the rest, but if that's going to help you, forget the rest. Like I said, you can come back to this call tomorrow or in a month or in 4 years. It'll be there and you can pick a new thing. So pick your one thing you're going to focus on and just implement that, okay? One comment from Camille, she said, I'm working on that with my challengers too. That's such a good point. All of this can be so overwhelming. So start wherever you're at and just do something, right? Okay, so have a good Sunday night. Like I said, I'll post this recording as soon as it's up on YouTube. Share it with whoever. Tag people in it. Yeah, you guys are so welcome. Okay, have a good rest of your Sunday night, and we'll talk soon, guys. Bye.